Scapa Flow was the home of the British fleet in the First World War. From this remote northern base, the Royal Navy dominated the North Sea and successfully controlled the German Navy. And when the fighting ended in November 1918, Scapa Flow was where the German fleet was interned, rusting at anchor for 7 long months as the negotiations that would finally end that conflict dragged on, until the 21st of June 1919, when the German fleet was scuttled by its own crews. 52 modern warships went to the bottom. Most of those sunken ships were raised between the wars to be sold for scrap. But 7 ships of the German fleet still lie in the central flow. There are 4 light cruisers, the Köln, the Dresden, the Karlsruhe and the mine-layer Brummer, and 3 mighty battleships, Kronprinz Wilhelm, König and Markgraf. Not to mention the block ships sunk to protect the entrances to the flow in the First War, and more sights besides. There's no wonder Scapa Flow attracts divers from all over the world.
The classic Scapa Flow trip is a week's diving, and that means 2 dives a day for either 5 or 6 days depending on your dive operator. The accommodation provided may be on board your dive boat as liveaboard, or it could be on shore. But these days you can also book individual dives as part of a more general holiday. And with either option you can take as much of your kit as you want, or you can hire in Scapa. There aren't as many operators in Scapa as there used to be, but those that remain are all more than decent, which really means that it's when you want to go and when they have availability.
I searched online and decided on Orkney and Shetland Charters, who operate the MV Valhalla. They offer specific weeks for individuals in Scapa at the end of the season, and had a space on the week I wanted. I've got liveaboard accommodation, 12 dives, air, weights and breakfast for £1,060, 400 payable immediately as a deposit, and the balance of £660 payable 3 months in advance. Lunch and dinner are available on board at extra cost, and so was pretty much any kit or gas I wanted, and a full price list was happily provided.
Right then, deposit paid, how am I going to get to Scapa? The obvious thing to do, chuck my kit in the car, drive up to Scrabster, get the ferry across to Stromness, and that's where Valhalla is based.
I live in North Yorkshire, but that's still 450 miles either end of the trip, and the ferry times mean I'd need to drive all night, to set off really early and hope there were no hold-ups on the road, or to drive part way and stay overnight close to the ferry terminal. Fuel for that drive would be around £140 return, plus the ferry, another £50 return, plus £15 for parking if I left the car on the mainland, or £190 if I took the car across to Orkney. Or there's the train from a local station to Aberdeen, £90 return, and then a ferry from Aberdeen to Kirkwall, £50 return as a foot passenger. The ferry leaves Aberdeen at 5 in the afternoon, so travelling up the same day by train is very easy, and the station is only half a mile from the ferry terminal. And then at the other end there's a dedicated bus that meets the ferry and runs to Stromness, which costs just a tenner or so return. I'm quite happy to carry kit, but not cylinders, so that means I'd need to hire. A 12 litre twin set, £80 for the week, and a 7, another £40 for the week.
Travelling solo, I decided on the train and ferry combination. And then I thought about it some more,
and decided I really didn't want to arrive on board at midnight, so I decided to take the Thursday ferry instead, book myself Brown's Hostel in Stromness for a couple of nights, hire a bike in Stromness, and do some sightseeing before I got wet. Orkney honestly has much more to offer than just Scapa Flow. So there we are, booked and ready to go. Next time then, some thoughts on dive and gas planning.